Welcome everybody to our first See Eye to Eye live. Now, my outfit today is office on the top, quarantine below in my sweatpants. Hope you all are comfortable as well. And we were overwhelmed by the participation in our bootcamp live stream on April 23rd. And one of the many questions we saw in the comments of the broadcast and received many emails and requests since then is the question, how did you do it? And specifically, what software did you use to produce your event? And without the ability to gather, arts professionals are now being asked to live stream galas, live performances, talks, etc. So in service to our community, today we are going to give it all away. Exactly how we produced our live stream, in just a few weeks from idea to production. And I will be joined today by a number of my teammates from Capacity Interactive's marketing and operations team who put this whole event together. And we'll loosely follow the format of an overview and inspiration and why that I will give. And then we will talk about pre-production. We'll talk about the day of and everyone's roles and responsibilities. We'll talk about the marketing and the design. And then we'll have plenty of time at the end for all of your Q&A. And this video will be available on YouTube that you can watch and share afterwards as well. So thank you so much for being here. Before we invite our first guest, I think it is important to talk about how the idea came together for us to do this. Do our bootcamp live stream. And I want to take everybody back to mid and late March. People are scared, shocked, isolated, and it's really early in the days of quarantine. And I we're all sitting at home. And I learned that Rosie O'Donnell, whose show I loved, was putting together a live stream along with the Actors Fund, which is an amazing nonprofit in New York that supports actors. And I watched that live stream on March 22nd, and it just felt so grassroots. It felt so authentic and community building. And what happened was Rosie invited all of these Broadway performers from all over to say hello and to talk about their quarantine and to sing songs. And it was just so moving. I got to see Patti LuPone's basement, Kristen Chenoweth's in her kitchen, Lin-Manuel of his view of out his window. And at the same time, I knew our arts industry was in a state of shock and really looking for answers and community and connection. And I knew that we had the skills from putting on our annual bootcamp conference for the last 10 years to put something like this together for our arts community. So Christopher Williams, who's Capacity Interactive's managing director, also loved the Rosie show and loved the Actors Fund. And he was actually connected to the Actors Fund, and he reached out to them to learn more about how they pulled off that live stream with Rosie, because we were both obsessed with it. And he learned the software that they used was called StreamYard. And it just really felt like a professional television show that they pulled together so quickly. And it was the first platform that we looked at. And Christopher ended up speaking to the producer of Rosie's event, who is Eric Bergen from the CBS television series Madam Secretary, among other shows and roles. But it was his idea and labor to bring Rosie back for one night with the hopes of raising money for the Actors Fund. And they did such an incredible job. And we actually published a blog post all about their event that Christopher published called A Telethon for Today. And it goes into details about how everything that they learned behind the scenes, meta here, talking about our behind the scenes webinar on their behind the scenes. Anyway, so I think my first tip for any event that you're live streaming is to find inspiration and write down a creative vision into a high-level brief. And so I wrote out a brief that outlined the who, what, when, where, why, and how of our bootcamp live stream. And it went through many iterations of names, but I knew what I wanted the spirit to be. I wanted it to feel grassroots. I wanted it to feel of the moment. I wanted it to feel casual, smart, helpful, open. And in my brief, I said I was inspired by that Rosie show. And I actually had a link to the Rosie show Rosie show on YouTube so that people involved could see what I was talking about. And I wanted the ability to show PowerPoint slides, have video, have screen grabs, feature one-on-one interviews and panels with multiple people. And this brief was very short, but it was used for all internal and external communication. So when I went to invite speakers or performers for the event, I had the bullet points of what the vision was going to be about the whole thing. And it was sort of defined up front and gave everybody, very just like brief and tight playbook to work from. And we ended up using that in our marketing and our operations. And so I'm lucky that we have an operations team at CI that is full of theater folks who love putting on a show. We have a former Broadway house manager, and I'm sure this is true for many of you. Many people working in arts administration, of course, love putting on shows. And so we tapped into that, and we have a former Broadway house manager on our operations team who's our director of operations. We have a stage manager who you'll hear from in a bit, who were very, very up to the task and very excited about putting on a show. And they were very involved with the logistics. In fact, I was not super involved with the technical logistics, which is why they're all going to come on later to talk about that. But we really treated this like running a live production, which is how we treat our annual boot camp, with a run sheet, with speaker communications, run-throughs. And I've worked with many of these folks for a very long time. And so my second tip is know your team's strengths and get out of the way. And so once we identified the brief of what the overall vision was, and we found the platform, I really got out of the way and let them run with it. So with that background, I'd like to move to our first section called pre-production and invite Capacity Interactive's OG employee, Rachel Parks, who started as an intern. Hi, Rachel.
Hey. Yes.
Who is also you were also an amazing stage manager, and we've definitely been very lucky to take advantage of those skills. So you're here to give us a tour of StreamYard.
Yes, I am. So yeah, again, Eric, you said this was really the first platform we looked at, and we felt after looking at it, we didn't need to look any further. It really had everything that we needed. It has a really user-friendly interface with a really polished front-end look that doesn't have too much of a lift to make it, look branded and everything like that. We're on the basic paid account, which allows for that custom branding, and it's only $20 a month. So like really competitive pricing as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's go on in here. So StreamYard is the back-end software used to connect to your live stream destination. So the first thing you do when you get logged in is to navigate to this destinations page, and that's where you can connect to your streaming platform. So you connect to Facebook, YouTube. There's also some custom integrations you can build out. Then you go to the broadcast page where you can schedule your event and create the broadcast. Just click on the Create a Broadcast button there. And then you're able to select that broadcast destination that you've set up. You can broadcast up to, I believe, 5 destinations on the premium level. You can also just choose to skip that and just do the record only option if you're more comfortable just doing a whole pre-recorded thing and then editing it and pushing it out later. That's an option in here as well. But if you do broadcast live, you can add in the title and description, choose your privacy settings, put in the scheduled start time, as well as updating or uploading a thumbnail image. The thumbnail would be like the static image that shows up on the stream before you go live. Then going back to once you've created the broadcast, you're able to go to this more drop-down section here, and that is where you can choose to invite a guest being like the presenter or the performer for your stream. And that will give you the link to join the broadcast, which is like the StreamYard backend. And then you can also see here, there's like the destination link. So in our instance, we just used YouTube. If you clicked on view to YouTube, that will give you the live stream link for your viewers to join. You can also go back here at any time and edit any of that information as you see fit. Then if you click on this Enter Broadcast Studio button, it will bring you into the studio. The first thing it's going to do is ask you to check your camera and microphone settings. And we do recommend that you just keep camera and mic on at all times. I'll explain why in just a minute. Also, here's where you can enter your display name. It's about a 30-character limit, so just keeping that in mind. And then you enter the broadcast studio. So this is what the backend looks like. You'll see my video image down here kind of grayed out, and this text says, "You're not part of the stream yet. Click to add your audio and video." So as an admin, I'm able to see everybody that's joined into the studio here. It's kind of like the green room. They're not actually live until you hover over the image and click add to stream. So no one will be able to see you or hear you until you're added to the stream, which is why we just recommend keeping your camera and mic on so there's no issues once they're ready to go live. Yeah, and then you can also add screen share options. We'll talk through that in a bit more detail later, but I just want you to see, again, kind of meta here, screen sharing within the screen share. But once people are added or you've selected things to add, those are all in blue. So I have my video and the screen share up. And then if you want to remove any of those things, again, just hovering over those icons, you can choose to remove from the stream. There's also some kind of quick features here. If you want to just push this one screen to full screen, you can do that. There's these 7 display layout options listed right under the broadcast feed here. They kind of intuitively adapt based on what you've pushed live, but you can always click one of these to select and overwrite as well. So yeah, all fairly user-friendly and simple there. So yeah, now let's go to the sidebar here. You'll see the branding options. So you can add in a custom logo, you can add in overlays, you can add in videos. You can also choose a branding color. It gives you kind of all the guidelines here as well. And backgrounds. You can also toggle on and off display names if you want to keep it just visual. And then some other things here outside of branding. We have the comments tab right here. So this will pull in the live viewer comments. So on the back end, if you're in the studio, you're able to see what comments are coming in from your broadcast feeds from YouTube or whatever. And you can also hover over those comments and push them live onto the stream. We didn't do this on ours because of the volume of comments we were getting. It's kind of hard to keep up with as the single admin running it. But if you have a smaller, you know, a more intimate audience, that might be a nice way to like bring people, you know, to the forefront there. There's also the banner option. So another way to add in some custom branding that you've seen we've done with like the pro tips on this particular live stream today. They can be static, they can also be scrolling. And then there's a private chat as well. So this is where you would communicate with your guests within the back end of StreamYard, like your presenters or your performers, because that's really the only way they're able to communicate with you if they're not pushed live on the live stream at the moment, again, because like the muted video and camera when they're not live. And then there's, you know, a little settings section where you can QA if you have any issues with camera or audio. There's some green screen options and guest settings. And that is the quick and dirty overview of StreamYard.
Amazing. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Some questions for you. Can you talk about how we handled screen sharing and videos during the live broadcast? Yeah,
well, so we similar to how we handle our you know 2-day boot camp, we always like to collect all the information as much as we can in advance. So we had my colleague Madeline, who's going to come on, running most of the screen shares, just to kind of take that pressure off of whoever was presenting, that they didn't have to worry about the technical aspect of pushing their screen live. We did that all for them. And the same thing with videos, like we just gather that all in advance. When we did our bootcamp live stream, StreamYard only allowed for 30 seconds of video playback, but since then they've already updated it, and you can have up to 5 minutes, I believe. So, you know.
Yeah, which was, I mean, if you look back at the the recording on YouTube, you can see every 30 seconds there's like the smallest blip that I'm sure nobody noticed, but that was Rachel like streaming that, cutting that together, because you could only show 30 seconds of video, which now you can show 5 minutes of video, which is great. Yeah. And I love that, you know, what we really tried to do was have the minimal lift as possible on our presenters, because when you're presenting, people are nervous, people, you know, are thinking about what they have to say, and we wanted minimal tech lift or tech requirements for anyone presenting. And we had like 20 presenters, and so we're going to talk about how we prepared people, but I thought that was the ability, that your and Madeline's ability to do that behind the scenes was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like everything you just saw, all those screen grabs. So we are on StreamYard now. I saw that question come in, and you can see all of the technical pieces are being handled by Austin, who is behind the scenes and doesn't want to be on the the live stream here, but he's doing all of the technical back end that Rachel was doing during the bootcamp live stream. Any other just limitations of StreamYard that people should consider?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have to consider what you're producing. I think it was perfect for our, again, it was perfect for what we needed for these kind of intimate, like, back and forths, because you can only have, currently they only allow up to 6 live speakers at a time within the platform. So if you're doing some larger event, this probably isn't the platform for you. Right. But yeah, I mean, again, they've already improved on that video thing, so.
But if you're doing lots of speakers over lots of times rather than all at once, like a Zoom call, it works. So, you know, we were, you know, it worked. We made it work for us. Now, I just want to, you showed at the beginning that you can stream on multiple platforms, which is certainly possible. We made the strategic decision to only stream on YouTube. We didn't want to confuse people. We didn't want to like just spray it all out there on Facebook and other platforms, which you can do if you're trying to reach, if your goal is reach as many people as possible. You know, we'll talk about that later, but we purposely chose to just live stream on YouTube because it's clearer for communications. And we just thought it made more sense to focus on one platform. Yeah. Great. Well, Rachel, we'll see you back in a bit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So now we are going to welcome Meaghan McFarland, who's Capacity Interactive's Associate Creative Director, who made all these beautiful visuals you see now and for the bootcamp live stream. Hi, Meaghan.
Hi, Eric. How's it going?
Pretty good. Where are you joining us from?
Joining you from North Carolina.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So can you talk about how you approached the design for the live stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing we needed to focus on from a branding and design standpoint was adapting our brand to the streaming platform, to StreamYard. So one thing I really love a lot about the design functionality in StreamYard is its ability to work for teams with and without trained graphic designers. They provide both basic and advanced design functionality. So from a more basic standpoint, the platform allows you to add your own logo, define a color with a hex code from your brand, choose between this default bold theme or a minimal theme, and also add some pop-up text banners throughout the live stream. Rachel previewed that in the sidebar a little bit earlier. So those 4 things in and of themselves are already really, really powerful. And better yet, anyone on your team can do that part, which is really, really stellar. But to kind of take this a step further beyond the more basic design functions, StreamYard also allows you to upload custom graphics as either overlays or backgrounds. So overlays sit on top of your stream. They can be either images or videos, while backgrounds, on the other hand, sit behind the stream and can only be images. Rachel mentioned a little bit about the price differentials for StreamYard. They have a free version as well as 2 tiered paid versions. The free version does include a StreamYard branded logo and an overlay, but both paid options allow you to remove StreamYard branding and upload your own logos and graphics. So that's probably what most of y'all are going to want to do if this is the platform for you. I will say, as you're looking for the right live streaming platform for you and your team and your organization, do consider your team's ability to take on both of these basic and advanced functionalities, just so you kind of are setting yourself up for success with that.
Awesome. I'd love for you to show us the designs that we ended up using for the live stream.
Absolutely, I would love to. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the Adobe Illustrator file that we used to create the designs for both YouTube and StreamYard. Now, because we only broadcasted the live stream through YouTube, Erik, as you mentioned earlier, we created thumbnail graphics specifically for YouTube. So if your organization is considering broadcasting through Facebook or another platform, just be sure to optimize your designs for those platforms' guidelines. I can only speak for our team's experience on YouTube right now. But let's go ahead and quickly dive into the YouTube specific graphics. So as you can see here, we've created 2 different thumbnails for YouTube that were very dependent on the time that viewers would see them. Because we chose to release the link to the YouTube live stream the day before, we created this Tune In Thursday graphic. Now, we specifically did not say tune in tomorrow, simply to be able to accommodate for different time zones as folks were sharing this live stream with various people in both their professional and personal network. We also updated the thumbnail the morning of the live stream to say tune in today to provide some clarity for the viewer. But on to the meat of this, right? The StreamYard specific designs. We actually only uploaded and used 4 custom graphics, so 1 background and 3 overlays in StreamYard. As you are working on the programming and the run sheet for your own live stream, it's really, really, really crucial to consider how much work your stage manager will be doing on the platform to keep the event moving smoothly. For us, we had a 4-hour-long event with a multitude of speakers and transitions. The run sheet was chock full of things for Rachel to juggle. So it was really important for our team to ensure that the graphics were strong from a branding standpoint, but simple from a logistical standpoint. So what you're seeing now here on the screen is a standby graphic that we used at the beginning of the live stream, and also to use just in case we experienced any sort of extended technical difficulties at any point. We recommend making this very bold or very colorful so that it's easier for your stage manager to spot quickly in the platform and just throw up on the stream if anything were to go wrong. We also created a single background design with the branded elements that were important to us. So we have the name of the event, Bootcamp Livestream, in the top left here. We have Capacity Interactive's logo in the top right, as well as the digital event hashtag. Because this shows up as a background behind all screen shares and video streams, it's not going to be visible the entire time, but that's okay. We do recommend laying out your branded elements like the logo, hashtag, tagline, whatever is important to you at the outer edges and corner of the screen, again, just to better accommodate the variation in number of people on the stream, which again, I'll show you in just a second. You'll also notice that we don't have any sort of branded element in the bottom left corner or quadrant of this. That's because we wanted the ability to use the in-platform text banners that I'll show you in just a minute. Let me show you what I mean though. We've mocked up what the background looks like for all of these various video configurations. So for example, if we were to have one person in the stream, as you saw Erik at the start of this, you actually can't see the background at all. They cover that completely. But here you can also see these in-platform text banners that I mentioned. We were sure to test with a variation in length for these, right? So here you'll see kind of a shorter amount of text. And then if we go over here, you'll also see a banner that has the maximum amount of text that is possible. We just wanted to be sure we were planning for every possible scenario so that we wouldn't cover the hashtag in the bottom right corner of the screen. I'll just quickly flip through these just so you can kind of get a feel for what these look like. Again, it's just planning, being super prepared, making sure you understand every possible scenario. And this goes all the way up to a 6-person layout. You can see I took some screenshots from the Rosie live stream with the multitude of Lin-Manuel Mirandas here. These same recommendations that I just mentioned also apply to the overlay we created. We used this specific overlay that you're seeing now every hour on the hour during the live stream just to serve as a reorientation for viewers who might just be tuning in. Now, when it comes to these overlays, we recommend thinking about the color of the branded elements you're including. So, for example, a white logo won't be visible if a speaker's video background on the stream is also white. So as you can see here, we actually added a black box behind Capacity Interactive's white logo just to accommodate for something like this. And again, plan for every single scenario. As you saw with the background, we've also mocked up the template to show what this looks like with various amounts of folks on screen. And I'll say it again, just to really drive the point home. A theme of this is just preparation, preparation, preparation. Be prepared to cover any type of situation that you might encounter, any amount of people that might be on the screen, and again, just planning for any sort of technical difficulties or following the run sheet in that capacity. And finally, we created a thank you graphic overlay to show at the very end of the live stream. We are really recommending that you think about what you want your message to be at the end of the live stream so you can end on something that's both powerful and branded for both your event and your organization. It's kind of the overview.
Thank you, Meaghan. So lots of questions coming in. We're going to answer all the questions at the end. So thank you for everyone who's asking questions. We will try to get to them. So there's probably a lot of people watching who don't have access to the Creative Cloud. What are your recommendations for those folks who may not have like a full-time designer or access to that software?
Totally. No, that's a great question and something that is just a very real thing that people are encountering. So I would actually recommend, and our team really recommends, checking out Adobe Spark and Canva if you do not have a full-time graphic designer or don't have access to Creative Cloud software. Both Adobe Spark and Canva have free and paid options, but most importantly, they both allow you to create custom-sized graphics so that you can ensure you're building something with the correct pixel dimensions for StreamYard or any other live stream platform you might explore. Again, I just want to say, I really love StreamYard because of the design elements that work for people with and without the Creative Cloud. It's just very adaptable, very user-friendly, as Rachel mentioned earlier. And it's just, it's all about taking the time and opportunity to brand a live stream well, because it's what makes it memorable, and it provides people the opportunity to take photos and post on social and really kind of get that engagement going and just representing your brand really well.
Definitely, and we'll be making the templates available. You want to talk about that for a second?
Absolutely, yes. So we have the Adobe Illustrator template file that will be coming to you in your inbox via email, obviously, with all of our other resources that we're going to be mentioning in this live stream. I will say, if you are on this live stream now and have not signed up on our website, I'll just drop the link to the landing page in the chat box on the right in YouTube, just so you can be sure you're on our email list and are receiving all of these resources.
Great. So yeah, we're going to have lots of resources that we're going to talk about during the live stream today, and we're going to send as many as we can to you in email to make it as easy as possible for you to replicate this. So wonderful. Thank you, Meaghan. We'll see you at Q&A.
Thanks, Eric. See you soon.
So I want to talk onto the next section about speakers and performers. And during March, and obviously still today, I was obsessed with the news, particularly news that was affecting the arts and the future of the arts, like I'm sure many of you are. And as I was thinking about who was going to join our live stream, I found people that I'd never met before. And, I found through LinkedIn trying to connect with people, like I did not know Adrian Ellis before he was on the live stream, but I found on LinkedIn he was connected through my friend Tom, and so Tom connected me. And then I had my brief explaining what we were doing, that I was just able to get a conversation with Adrian and send the brief, which was really helpful. I also knew from watching Rosie that there was a real power to live performance during this stressful time, and it's, art is why we all do what we do, and we've never had performances at our boot camps or any of our other events, and I had no idea how to get connected with Broadway folks except like friends of friends of friends, but I knew that wasn't the best way to do it. So I had some conversations and eventually connected with Blake West, who's the executive director of MCC Theater, who's one of our clients in New York, and one of the artistic directors at MCC Theater also is the owner of Telethon & Co., which is a casting agency. And they were so nice to donate casting. And we were lucky enough to land Ali Stroker and Kate Baldwin when I first had this idea of saying I wanted Broadway stars. My husband said I had delusions of grandeur, but I felt like we got really, really lucky through people's generosity to get not only Allie and Kate, but also through Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, we had a Kuanani Parker, and through American Composers Orchestra, Miranda Cookson. So it was really about just working really hard to connect with people and ask. And it was also quite important to us to pay our performers, even though this is a time where there's obviously not a lot of money flowing through the sector. We wanted to pay performers or offer them the option to donate to charities in their names, which some of them did and some of them accepted the payment, which was great. So I could have done none of this without my amazing assistant, Madeline Pollis, who is going to join us now. Hi, Madeline.
Hi, Eric. How's it going?
Good. I see your face on screen every day, multiple times, but never in this format. So.
Oh, yeah. This is fun. Sorry in advance. My cat, who we were hoping would nap through this, just woke up. So I apologize if I'm looking off screen a little bit.
Oh, per usual. He always, always wakes up at the right time.
Exactly.
So I wanted to, me being me and having no sense of patience, as soon as I saw the Rosie live stream, I was like, when can we do this? We need to do it in 2 weeks. And you were like, no, we need to do it in 6 weeks. And so we definitely had that back and forth. You really encouraged me to push this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I sure did. And I think at the time when you came to us with this great idea, it was, late March. That was the time when the news was evolving so much every day. It felt really, really important to produce something timely and to provide resources to people who were really craving them. But I think it was also important to consider that we wanted to put on something that would really help people and have the time to produce it well, have the time to get speakers on board who could offer the best case studies and presentations. So I think whenever you're producing something like this, there is sort of just a sense with live streams that they're so immediate and spontaneous. But I think there's also a balance of making sure you have time to plan and make it something of the same quality you would want to produce in your actual performance space.
Yeah, and I think every organization, hopefully, certainly we try to embrace the push and pull of different personality types and creating an environment where you feel really safe pushing back to me. And the operations team feels, I say, I want it now. And you say, well, we want it in 6 weeks. And like, somewhere in the middle is the right answer. So I think that's really about having a culture where people feel trust and safe to have, conflict.
Absolutely. And I always appreciate that you're willing to have me push back, even when you disagree. It's great to be able to be open. And I think that's really key to being able to put something together like this.
Definitely. So you did a fantastic job preparing our speakers. And so once we had the speakers, it was really, I did the initial outreach. I turned it over to you. Can you talk about speaker preparation? And I think this is relevant not only if it's speakers for a live stream, but also anyone who's doing any sort of live event for an arts organization.
For sure. Austin just flashed that on the screen. You can look it up because I'll talk about it now. I would say a big tip would be to just treat other people how you want to be treated. And that includes, your colleagues and your friends and family, and also your performers and presenters, whoever's participating in your live stream. So if you think about it, we're all very isolated right now, and you would probably ordinarily have some in-person rehearsals and follow-ups. But since we don't have that option, it's really important to think about what is all of the information that we would want to that I would want to have if I were speaking at a live stream. There she is. And really think about it that way. Like, what questions would I have? If I were not familiar with StreamYard, what would I want to know about what to expect on the day of? So I think just adopting that mentality in all of your communications with whoever's participating in your live stream is really valuable.
Definitely. Can you talk us through the communication timeline for speakers? For
sure. So you, as you mentioned, had sort of an initial email exchange with everyone to reach out, after which point we scheduled a quick preparatory call with you and them to sort of talk through content and what their segment would look like. We had a series of emails I sent out with a lot of information, and I think it was a difficult balance to be able to provide as much information as possible, as I mentioned before, everything that you would want to know if you were in their shoes, but also to be, but also not to overwhelm
You want to
them.
introduce her?
Oh, yes. Well, this is my cat. Opera folks in the audience will appreciate. Her name is Lucia, but she goes by her nickname Noodle. And she is full-on Lucia Madzine right now. I'm sorry, I lost my place with the question. What was it?
No worries. How the sort of the balance between giving too much information and like, you know, we asked our speakers to do a lot, and like the timeline between when was best to ask them versus asking too much versus multiple emails, right?
Absolutely. And so I think I learned that redundancy is not an issue. I think people are never going to be upset to receive the same important piece of information more than once. They'll be more upset to not be able to find it when they need it. But I also think sort of the format of your emails, whenever you're providing a lot of information to someone, you don't want to just list paragraphs and write a whole essay about what they should expect. So using headers and bullet points and color coding to sort of make it easier to read. If they're going back to that email later to reference it, it'll be easy to find the piece of information they're looking for.
Yeah, because we asked speakers so much. Like, do you want to throw out all the things we asked them for?
So in addition to everything we told them about what to expect, we also asked them about what their devices that they would be using, what their internet connection speed is. We asked them to perform a speed test. We asked them whether they had an Ethernet cord option if Wi-Fi failed. We asked them if they had a second screen. We asked them for all of their various contact information, whether they were sharing, whether they wanted to share any slides or for me to share any pictures during the presentation. So that sort of thing, to really sort of cover all of your bases. All of that technical information sounds very in the weeds, and most of it we didn't need to rely on at all. But it was helpful to have it as an option in case of technical difficulties so that we knew how we could best adapt and troubleshoot and support our participants when they came on.
Definitely. And again, it goes back to when you're participating in this, it's really stressful. And, you know, outside of CI, I have the opportunity to do a lot of, you know, other people's events in person and virtual. And lots of times you just feel very, very nervous before your presentation, and the organizations that take the time to do that kind of detailed work and answer the technical questions in advance for you, your presentation's better because you don't have that fear hanging over of, you know, feeling like you need to have all of the technical issues on your shoulder.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's also part of why we wanted to set up a rehearsal situation to be able to better prepare everyone. So not only for the speakers, we did provide a technical rehearsal that was totally optional for speakers to sign up for slots the day before. And really it was 10 minutes to just sign into StreamYard, which was the greatest hurdle. We wanted to make sure everyone could connect without any difficulty, knew how to add their video and sound, and that everything was going well. And it was totally optional, but almost all of the speakers took us up on that opportunity because people just want to know what to expect. And even if they didn't have any particular questions, they could see the environment in the same way that you would want to see the stage you were performing on if you were performing. And so we also, because we were brand new to the StreamYard platform as well, did a lot of rehearsing as our marketing and operations team. So we had several 2-hour technical rehearsals where we would have some of us on YouTube looking at what it looked like on that end. We used an unlisted link to be able to actually live stream to YouTube without having it go public. We tested out every function possible within StreamYard. We built run sheets and had everyone sort of pretend to be the various speakers who were going to join us for the actual live stream so we could actually practice a cue to cue. And I think it's so important to remember that if you work in a performing arts organization, you already know how to do all of this. You wouldn't put on a production without having a reading rehearsal and a staging rehearsal and a sits probe and a tech rehearsal and a dress rehearsal. And I think we need, as you were saying, Eric, you want to treat this like a live performance with the same quality of preparation as you would with anything else, even if you're going for a more grassroots and spontaneous vibe.
Absolutely. So let's bring Rachel back and move on to talking about the day of what was happening behind the scenes. Rachel, welcome back.
Yeah.
can you talk through what everyone's roles were the day of the event?
Yeah, so if we're continuing with this production analogy, obviously director Erik, director and MC Erik. I was like the stage manager, pushing go on the buttons as Austin is doing today. Madeline was like our ASM, assistant stage manager, running the slides, as I mentioned. She also is kind of acting as the company manager, communicating with the presenters, letting them know when it was time for them to join the waiting room, which I think I saw a question. You can have up to 10 people in the back end, like in the green room, what have you, within StreamYard. Austin acted as our technical director, helping out if there were any sort of last minute technical issues with the speakers. We wanted to have someone else on call in case Madeline or I couldn't handle something amongst all the other things we were doing during the day of, since the show was kind of fast paced. Then we had our coworkers, Molly Shoemaker and Madeline Rochella, kind of acting as front of house, chatting with people, the viewers leaving comments on YouTube. You can also answer comments and stuff on the back end, but again, just because of the pace and the volume of comments we were getting, we just had people moderating the comments directly within YouTube. And then we had Shira, who worked kind of as our talkback moderator, who was pulling the questions from the YouTube screen and into the private chat for Erik to ask the questions at the end of each section. And then we had, Krisi and Meaghan as our PR team within the social media realms, making sure they were keeping check on things on Twitter and things like that. And we'll talk more about that.
Perfect. Can you show us the run sheet? And while you're talking about that, can you, Madeline, can you talk about how you and Rachel worked together the day of?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the real run sheet we used on the day of, which I know none of you will really be able to read in this format. And don't worry, if you signed up for this event and registered on our website, you'll receive this in your inbox tomorrow, along with templates to make your own just like it. But the reason we wanted to show this is to demonstrate just how much detail and planning we had to do to get to a place where we could just relax and follow along on the day. Well, relax might be an overstatement, but trust that we had done the preparation to really just follow along. So on the day of, because one of the limitations of StreamYard is that you can have only one admin who's pushing the buttons and bringing people on screen, Rachel and I couldn't collaborate on that, but there was so much to keep track of, as you can see. So we actually, just like we would have at the real in-person boot camp where we would have been on headsets all day communicating with each other, we were on a 4.5-hour phone call so that we could, help each other with cues. Rachel could let me know if the next speaker had joined the waiting room, because when you're a participant in the green room, you can't see who else is in there. So it was a lot of communicating, and a phone call was what worked best for us. And it also sort of let us feel like we were together in the same way we would have. And so it felt more like the team effort that we wanted it to be.
Absolutely. In the name of time, I'm going to move on, but I have more questions that I can follow up in the overall Q&A. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to next welcome Krisi Packer, the Director of Marketing and Content for Capacity Interactive. Hi, Krisi.
Hello, Erik. How are you?
Good. So talk to us about how you thought about and managed social media and comments and customer service around and during the event.
Absolutely. So our goal was to create a sense of community, not only within the live stream, but also across our digital platforms. So we assigned a few different team members to monitor those digital platforms. And that included Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our administrative email inbox, and also, of course, being the voice of CI in the live chat and YouTube. And I believe there was a question about that, which is you can't manage the live chat within StreamYard. It's actually within the actual YouTube platform. So the task was a little bit of a two-part thing. So the first part was obviously we wanted to engage with our fans and followers. They were creating some excellent content during the live stream, and we wanted to make sure we were part of that conversation. And let's be honest, the best time to dust off the old Twitter account is to live tweet during conferences and digital events. Hashtag live with CI.
Thank you, Rue.
No kidding. I can feel the digital eye rolls right now from everybody. The second part was a customer service hat. So, we wanted to make sure we were answering people's questions in a timely manner. I read a stat a couple weeks ago that said 80% of customers expect brands and organizations to reply to their social media posts or DMs within 24 hours. So of course, the live stream, you don't really have the luxury of a day to respond to something. So we wanted to make sure we answer those questions so people weren't frustrated and were able to be part of the live stream. So to prepare for that, we came up with an FAQ document where we were able to anticipate some of those technical questions people might have, like, I don't have the link. My connection's weird. Will this live on YouTube afterwards? So that way we were able to use that information, customize it to that person, and send it out as quickly as possible, and then spend a little bit more time on some of the nuanced questions that might have come up in the chat about the sessions and speakers.
Definitely. So, and we have that today too. So if you're asking questions, you pre-prepared all the questions and answers for today.
I did. I know. My colleagues are very organized. I have a hypervigilant saboteur.
Let's take a step back, and if you can talk about the infrastructure for signing up. There's been some questions in the chat about this. We decided to stream on YouTube. We have all of our separate CRM. How did we think about that whole connection and sign up and infrastructure?
Absolutely. Well, I think it was a couple different things. Obviously, we want to stream on YouTube to have that one stream going, and also because of resources. We wanted to make sure we were answering people's questions, being present. So when you think about that, when you're streaming to different platforms, think about ways you can actually be present and comment with everybody who's participating. So obviously, the live stream is going to live on our YouTube channel. So it's public, there's no walls. So we had to provide incentive and value for people to register and sign up. So that value for us was we wanted to provide relevant and timely content after the live stream, during the pandemic, and beyond. So to take a huge step back, get back to the nitty gritty of all this stuff, we created an actual landing page, form, and automated workflow through our CRM, which is HubSpot. So when someone registered, a triggered email was automatically sent to them with information about when they'd receive the live stream. And of course, then we'd create a list of people that we could talk to about reminder emails, follow-up materials, etc. So the day of, we didn't want to exclude anybody. We wanted everyone to be a part of this live stream. So we put up the link on our website, across our social media platforms. We wanted people to join. But that value and incentive was still there. If people wanted to be part of that follow-up material afterwards, they could register and be part of that. And that was a choice for them. They could do that, or they could just be there for the live stream, totally up to them. So to tie this back to arts organizations, think about ways to deepen your relationship with your audience, especially as you create new digital programming. The landscape is really crowded right now. How can you provide that value for them? For example, something you might think about this week or next week. If you have a bunch of lead generation forms on your website, do you just have generic language that says sign up for latest updates? Or could you make that really timely to say, be the first to know about our digital programming? And then obviously make sure that you do that and give them the ability to customize their email preferences, because as we know, our inboxes are crowded these days. We actually wrote a blog post about lead generation during COVID-19. We'll pop that in the chat after this and send it in our follow-up materials afterwards, so you can take a look at that.
Awesome. So how does that, translating this for arts organizations? So our CRM is like our ticketing platform. Right. We didn't want to have all the registrations somewhere else in like an Excel document that we had to upload, import in. And so by just using our own CRM as the sign up, it connected people signing up with their past history and relationship with us and tied right into our email platform, which I know is important to you.
And that was, the automation part was incredible with that too. Instead of waiting, they registered, wait till we upload an Excel, then send the email, it was automatic. So that was crucial.
Absolutely. So talk about the follow-up materials that we provided, if you don't mind.
Yes. So the live stream was on a Thursday, and we sent out our first email the following Monday. And that email was just a simple thank you and a link to the live stream. And it just wasn't the ordinary live stream. We worked pretty hard on Friday to go through and add timestamps for each speaker and session. So that way people were able to jump to different sessions instead of like going through and searching, like less time searching, more time watching. We also put links to all the resources that were mentioned in the live stream. So if you remember, Eric, if you mentioned like a New York Times article and someone was like, I need to find that, you don't have to go down a wild goose chase on Google to find that. We put those all in one place. So that first email was a simple thank you, because we really appreciate everyone who was coming, and the link to the live stream. That second email was 2 days later, and we did kind of a roundup of all of our resources we've created since the pandemic started. So that included blog posts, case studies, podcast episodes, a webinar, and of course the content inspiration gallery that Meaghan and I debuted during the live stream. And this was great because we were able to resurface this for our contacts that perhaps might have not seen the content. I know as marketers, we think everybody sees every piece of content we do, but that's not the case sometimes. And then it was also for our new contacts, showing that we were doing great on our promise to provide that value to them after the live stream. So that was the second email. And then the last part of the week, our managing director, Christopher Williams, who you mentioned before, he wrote this incredible blog post that was really long and really valuable. And it highlighted key takeaways and summaries of each session. And it linked to certain resources and also the timestamp codes in the actual live stream. So if someone wanted to go to our website, read the blog, they could take a glance at what the live stream looked like if they didn't have time. And if they were intrigued by something, they could go back and watch it on our YouTube channel.
Awesome. Last question before we get to bringing everyone back and asking questions. If there was one thing you could have done differently or that you learned, what would that be?
I think it is the fact that I was just so blown away by how incredibly enthusiastic and happy people were about this live stream. Like our live stream chat was just blowing up, and I love that. But that sometimes means that if you ask a question, it could get like lost in the fray of things. So we're going to try something new with CI to I Live, which we're going to drop a Google form in the chat right now, and then at the end of the live stream. So if you have a question that might not be able to get answered, please feel free to fill it out, and one of our CI team members will get back to you. Or if you're anything like me, I think of a question like 3 hours later, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have asked that. That's the form to fill out. And again, this might not be right for every organization. It is a little bit more of a lift from a personnel standpoint, but it's really important for us to create that community and answer those questions for arts marketers, especially in this uncertain time. So look out for that Google form, ask questions. We'll be in touch with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Krisi.
Yeah.
I want to bring everybody else back and just say in general, I think this was possible because we're a team and we love working together. And I think this is not what we do. This is not, I mean, we do produce a conference, but we had to, like everybody, and I hate this word, but everyone's using it, but you had to pivot and you had to be flexible and you had to surf. And Jennifer Zaslow talked about, who spoke at the live stream about surfing, and just the waves are going to keep coming, and you can either get hit by them and get knocked over, or you can learn to surf. And the success of all of this is about a team working together and results. And Patrick Lencioni, who I love, who writes about teams and culture, highly recommend his work. Patrick Lencioni, again, he has 5 functions of a team, and it's shaped in a pyramid. And results are on top of that pyramid, and the base of that pyramid is trust. And in between trust and results is conflict, commitment, and accountability. And we all have that with each other, and that's so important in order to produce this or anything. Now, before I get to the questions, I want to just promo the next upcoming CI to I that's coming together that we're working on right now. It's called Don't Kill Your Marketing in the Age of Coronavirus. This is not the time for the arts to remain quiet. That's May 28th at 1 p.m. We're going to have marketers from Carnegie Hall, Steppenwolf Theater, and the Institute of Contemporary Arts in Boston, talking about how organizations are thinking about their investment in marketing and outreach during this time. Thank you for bearing with me on that promo. And now I'm going to get to the questions. Someone asked about, is there registration in the actual platform of StreamYard? Is there a registration functionality? Does anybody know?
There's not, because again, it's the back end only. So that's not something they currently offer. I think, as Kristen mentioned, like it's best to try and go through your CRM, but you can play around with Eventbrite or something like that as well. Right.
We thought, Eventbrite does have free. If you don't want to use your ticketing platform, Eventbrite does have free, and it integrates really nicely. So for like boot camp, boot camp, we use Eventbrite, and it integrates right into our HubSpot platform. Our friends at Cap UCLA asked why CI decided not to simultaneously live stream to Facebook. I could take that one. We didn't want anything that was gated. Facebook usage is really, really high, but not everybody uses Facebook. Not everybody has a computer, so we need to think about that. But we wanted to use the platform that the most people could access, and we wanted to focus it. We wanted to focus it on our minimum viable audience, the people that are connected to the arts. And we thought it would just be less confusing to do everything through one platform, one link that everybody could see. We weren't interested, our goal wasn't to on the day of reach as many people as possible. One of the nice benefits about doing it with some lead time was that we had the time to put it out there and get the word out before and drive everybody to one landing page to sign up and then keep it simple on platform. You can, someone also asked, can you stream simultaneously on YouTube and Facebook? The answer, Rachel, is yes, right? You can stream simultaneously.
Yeah, and I do just want to say, like, for people who do want to gate things, I think some people said, like, you know, if they wanted to do a private donor gala situation or something like that, that is an option. So like you can do a private YouTube link that would only be shared to those specific people. That's also how you can test this out. You can do like a private unlisted link.
Great. What platform does StreamYard use for guest speakers? Zoom, Skype? No, it's all through StreamYard. So if you watch the first 20 minutes of this video, Rachel shows the exact platform. You do not have to use an integration with Zoom or anything else, which is one of the reasons we really, really loved it. Okay, someone asked, did we send equipment to anybody if they did not have it? Madeline, do you want to take this? Ethernet cables, mic.
Yeah, the answer is no. So we did our best to, make sure everyone had a stable internet connection to help them troubleshoot, make sure they could get into the platform. But we really, like everyone, we understand that we're all working from home. We're all lacking the equipment and resources we might ordinarily have to put on a public event like this. So it's up to you and your organization what level of sound quality and video quality is important to you. But for us, as long as we could have everyone successfully on the platform and able to connect, that was all we really needed.
Definitely. Someone asked, would this program be appropriate for multi-camera but single location shoots? Sounds like it's more designed for meetings, stage readings, etc.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's kind of what Madeline just said. That wasn't something we needed. I'm not positive of how you would be able to connect like real recording equipment through the system. I'm not sure if that's something this offers. Similarly with the audio connections, I know, we're just using our mics on our devices. We're not plugging in anything. So that would be something you'd have to test in.
And just to promo, we're actually next week planning on kind of doing a blog post on different live streaming platforms. Trust us, it's a crowded landscape out there. We understand. So we're kind of looking at it through different lenses for arts organizations to see what's possible and answer some different questions. So we're working with my colleague on that right now, Becky. So look out for that next week.
Yeah, we're not saying StreamYard is necessarily right for everybody, but we loved it and we wanted to show in detail what we learned about it. Krisi, this one's for you. Are there closed caption or open caption options within StreamYard?
It's not. So StreamYard, again, is the platform that streams out to different types of platforms. So with YouTube right now, you can look at the captions on an actual video, but with the live stream, it's not quite available right now for live captions. So you have the option to upload a transcript and then kind of edit from there. We've heard that there might be a way to have live captions being rolled out to different accounts soon, but we haven't seen that yet. So something I would say, another learning I had was just make sure you build in time and energy and resources for captioning, because that is really important, and understand what the capabilities are if you're doing this on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube.
Definitely. This one's for you, Meaghan. Adobe Photoshop, is that good for developing templates as well?
Yes, absolutely. You can do it on Photoshop, Illustrator. We just happen to use Illustrator more frequently just because we're using more vector images than we are photos for some of the branded elements in the design. So absolutely, you can use either.
All right. Someone asked the time limit of pre-recorded video. Rachel.
Again, so they've updated it to 5 minutes. Again, like it's not a very large file type size. So again, it will kind of compress things a bit. You'll want to test it out.
Meaghan, someone asked about custom fonts. Can you use custom fonts?
Not in StreamYard. They just kind of give you the default font. So whatever banners you've seen pop up with us here on the stream at the bottom, that's just the font that's in StreamYard now. But as far as the custom graphics where you see our CI Live, Crossy Interactive, Live with CI, those are all of our custom fonts that have been designed in Illustrator. You can also do custom fonts, I know, on Adobe Spark and Canva. So that's what I would recommend, really pretty much only on the overlays and backgrounds.
Great. Rachel, how does StreamYard work with PowerPoint?
How does StreamYard work with PowerPoint? Yeah, the screen share option. And we actually, in the resource follow-up, we're going to share a really detailed presentation that our colleague Austin put together that shows you how exactly to share your if you want to look at your presenter notes and just share the presentation slides and how you can do all of that.
Yeah, it's going to be a really incredibly detailed PDF of that you can copy, and just shows your presenters exactly how to log in and screen share and use their PowerPoints, or so that'll be coming to you as well. Did you schedule video presentations in between speakers or play manually, Rachel?
Yeah, so the videos were all played manually. They are uploaded to the overlay section, and you just select it like you would select to add anyone to the stream to play the video. We definitely recommend doing it that way as opposed to screen sharing a video within YouTube. If you do that on most streaming platforms, it's gonna get really laggy, and so it's always best to just upload the video natively.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions about comments. So if you use StreamYard and you're streaming from multiple platforms, it will bring all the chat questions into here. And it made me think another reason we didn't want to stream on multiple platforms is, we wanted to control the quality of the experience, and we didn't feel like we had the people power to monitor lots of different platforms. We thought if we focused and just did one, we could do that better. So StreamYard does aggregate all of the comments, but just because it can, we didn't choose it to. Someone asked, is there a record option? Well, YouTube, when you do a live YouTube stream, it saves the recording, and so we just wanted it to live. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
Yeah, there is as Rachel showed at the beginning, there's a recording option within StreamYard where instead of live streaming, you could just produce a stream that is recorded and you could later publish. But also, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you do a live stream, it also saves the recording of that live stream in StreamYard. So if you later wanted to publish it elsewhere, you could.
Yeah.
Great. Questions on the pre-recorded program, which was definitely a question. How long can a pre-recorded program be if you opt not to broadcast live? So, like, if we recorded a video, how long could we have it streamed through StreamYard? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
Right, 5 minutes is what it's saying right now.
You're looking.
Yeah, no, 5 minutes is what you're able to do the stream. But I mean, the length of a total recording, I don't think there's a limit on that.
Great.
We can record the whole stream.
Great. All right, lots of questions. Unfortunately, it is 2:03. I think we answered most of the questions. We will send you follow-up resources. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. And we will see you back here in 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you to our guests, Krisi, Meaghan, Madeline, Rachel. Thank you. And thank you to Austin behind the scenes and the whole CI team who's watching. All right, see you later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.